This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to A Sharp Outlook on K4HD Radio and Talk 4 TV. I am Angela Sharp, your host. Our armchair discussions with industry experts will give you the steps, tools, and information to be successful in business and to prepare you to be your best self. Hello, and welcome to A Sharp Outlook. I'm Angela Sharp, and I'm here to provide information that will make you be your best self. And today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. Okay, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, but I want to ask you this question. Do you have what it takes to last? Are you built to last? Are you someone who can stay the course? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today and even more. Fear, we all know about fear, is a paralyzing emotion that can limit and destroy goals, dreams, and the energy you need to consider even being an entrepreneur. The fear of failure cripples the individual to a point of not taking the necessary steps to try. Can you imagine the numerous ideas and innovations that can go untapped because fear overwhelmed and incapacitated the vision? In our culture today, many business owners suffer from the element of fear and hopelessness. Fear of taking the next step, fear of sharing information with others, fear of partnering and collaboration, fear of failing, and the list can go on and on and on. Imagine the number of new businesses that can be birthed if the mind can be changed from I can't into I will. Knowledge is power, and it offers choices. If we educate our children at an early age to dream and to seek out being entrepreneurs and seek out the things that would make them successful as entrepreneurs, imagine what the economy would look like. Entrepreneurship has its own culture. And to be successful, the mind must be transformed to think differently. This mindset should be instilled in our youth in an effort to foster greater relationships into adulthood from childhood. The focus is educating youth and with concepts, ideas, and strategies needed to rationalize entrepreneurship by using practical, hands-on, and age-appropriate learning activities, and that will prepare their minds for more than just a general 9-to-5 profession. Believe me, I am not saying anything negative about 9-to-5. I have done 9-to-5 most of my professional life. But this preparation is critical thinking. Analysis prepares them for some of the obstacles and challenges faced with embracing the entrepreneurial path. I'm glad you joined us today while we discuss this topic. This can transform the world and establish strong recession-proof economies. Now, my guest today is Darlisa Dilps, industry leader in entrepreneurial education and startup advocate. In 2010, Darlisa began the framework for DJD, In-Depth Consulting Services, a consulting firm assisting small businesses and various needs such as websites, logos, professional documents. But during that time, she also worked as a data integrity specialist at one of the local hospitals and actively took on projects within this scope of dealings. She worked with many small businesses and nonprofits, helping them to establish an online presence in an effort to grow their businesses. Through her engagement with these small businesses, she discovered that there was a deeper level of understanding needed in order for these business owners to sustain a successful business. Well, I'm happy to have Darlisa here today so she can talk more about the services that she offers, but also more about how to get prepared to be an entrepreneur, to start your own business, to help build economies in this nation through entrepreneurship. So I'm going to invite Darlisa to join me. Hello, Darlisa.
Hi, Miss Angela. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm so happy to have you on the show today to talk about this important topic because I feel strongly about entrepreneurship. I've seen so many successful businesses that got started with just a dream. And now, well, let's just look at Amazon. I think it started in their garage, just a dream. And look where it is now because they kept pressing through the challenges. And this dream is like everybody else's vision that they want to be when they grow up. So I would like to get into how do we do this and do it well? What are some of the ways to educate and develop, that foundation to become a successful entrepreneur?
Well, it's a very great topic, and I just want to say thank you so much for the invitation to be on the show today and have this conversation. Entrepreneurship is a passion of mine, largely because I didn't see it growing up. I didn't know anything about it, and I personally feel like it is my purpose to help in that realm of education so that people can have access. And I think you said two key things that really make entrepreneurship work. It's the pressing, right? So the continuation towards a goal. And it is also the stick to itiveness, understanding what you're getting into and
Mhm.
making sure that you have the tools that you need to realistically satisfy that goal. Oftentimes today, people hear entrepreneurship and they are jaded by what they see on television or social
Mhm.
media, but they don't understand what the grunt work is behind entrepreneurship. And at the end of the day, that's really what's going to continue to help you get to the next level.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that you're right. That is something that most of them they see others out there and they're like, "Oh, I can do that." But they don't understand there's a lot of hard work to be successful in any area of entrepreneurship that you want to, get involved in. It's a lot of hard work. You got to really be to the dream, committed to the dream. I mean, to the point you want it not only to be great for you, but even expand to be something that's generational that your children can now jump into and continue that business on. What what does the strategic planning do to assist business owners in growth and stability?
Well, so planning in itself is important in all facets, right? So if you are opting to set out on a journey and you don't have a plan, you've already failed anyway. And that's again indicative of anything in life. So the strategic side of it speaks to what you want to do, how you plan to do it, and understanding that process. Process has to be a part of everything that is done because, like you said, anyone can say, "Oh, I can do that," and they probably can. But if the strategy on how you're going to do it is not in place, then it is really kind of you're going at it on a whim. So strategic planning really is important for a couple different reasons. It helps you to understand where you are realistically. It paints that picture of where you're trying to go, and it gives you the goals and the steps to take in between it. Because that's just like a person saying that they want to lose weight, right?
Mhm.
Well, if they never take any steps to do it, how are they going to lose the weight? So
Mhm.
it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. It's the same thing in ministry. It's the same thing in a marriage. Anything worth having is worth working for, because you develop a different level of appreciation for one. If someone is just constantly giving and giving and giving it to you, you don't value it, right? And so taking the strategic steps to think through how this is going to benefit not just you, not just your family, but why are you even starting the business in the first place? right? You're starting the business for an impact or for a purpose. And if that's not clear, then you might as well not do it.
Yeah, that's really true. Well, as I was looking at your background, I see that you have, um, you know, in-depth consulting services, focusing on many aspects of the business purpose. In fact, you're going to go on and help them figure out, well, what's the purpose of his business? You're the founder of YEP, Youth Entrepreneurial Platform, the Entrepreneur Workshop Series, the Women Representing a Purpose, and much more. And you've received a bachelor's in marketing management, an MBA in business administration, and an MBA in information technology. Goodness, the business and the tech, I'm here to tell you that works. Gives you the tools that are really needed to understand, analysis, statistics, how to go in and find out how your competitor is, able to reach a goal. How can I be just as successful? I mean, it's really important. So, why did you start DJD Consulting, and what's your role in it?
So sorry, my light went off. That's weird. So DJD In-Depth Consulting was actually my very first company. I started that when I was a novice in the game, and that was because I had to establish a presence. I was teaching and telling people about how to start a business, and I had not even explored entrepreneurship myself. I learned it, and I thought it was a good idea for other people, but not myself. And so DJD In-Depth Consulting was birthed because DJD, those are my initials, and in depth is what I give people, right? It's like, we're going to go in detail about what it is that you were trying to do. And so it was a consulting service. So that's how DJD In-Depth Consulting got started. And I did that for many, many years. It was me trying to create a lane for people that were like myself. We didn't understand entrepreneurship. We didn't have access to entrepreneurship. And so it was new. From DJD In-Depth Consulting, I started the YEP, the Youth Entrepreneurs Platform program, because the children around me, if I didn't understand it, I knew the children around me didn't understand it. And so we started the Youth Entrepreneurs Platform, and it was a way for children that were non-sports focused. Even for my children, when they were growing up, we put them in sports. It kept them active. It kept them engaged. But what about the children that weren't into sports? So that was me, right? I was not a sports kid. So created that platform to give the children that were not into sports a platform. And we did presentations, field trips, gave them the opportunity to be comfortable with speaking and interacting with people outside, like even outside of their peers. So those were kind of my early ventures. That is what led me to more of my current endeavors. Through DJD In-Depth Consulting, I was able to serve on so many different projects. And this was back in St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm born and raised. And I served on boards. I was a part of councils, decision making when they were building the Cortex Innovation District. I was able to be a part of all of that. And that was all because of DJD In-Depth Consulting. In 2016, my family and we moved to the Texas area, and I worked with the Small Business Development Center for many years as a business advisor. And through that process, I was able to learn so much more about the legal side, the intricacies, the government. Like, it was just so much more that I was able to take in. And I realized, I was like, there's all these great resources that are out here and are available for business owners, but yet businesses are still failing. So it was like, what is happening? Where is the gap? What am I missing? And so in 2017, I started an organization or a company called North Texas Entrepreneur Education and Training. That's a mouthful, right?
Mhm.
But the reason I started that company was because I realized that the education in entrepreneurship was still missing. Resources out the water, right?
Mhm.
Anywhere you go, there's a resource, but people were not still grasping how to best utilize these resources to benefit them in entrepreneurship. North Texas Entrepreneur Education and Training, we were the first for profit, Black owned, woman owned business service organization with that distinct um, market for entrepreneur education here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And I'm very blessed today to say that our organization is probably one of the top three organizations that focus on entrepreneur development. In 24, so 2024, no, not 24, 23. In 2023, no, it was 24 last year, because our reach had changed so much and we are a global company now. We changed the name of the organization to Foundations Entrepreneur Development Company. And now we work with cities, municipalities, nonprofit organizations, you name it, across the world to help them build out that foundational component of entrepreneur education so that programs and things are not just put out there, but they're put
Mhm.
out there with intent so that they can draw in the right audience and make an impact for their communities.
I mean, that's incredible. I was just thinking when I was in school a long time ago, they gave you choices to learn how to do skills so that because everyone's not going to college. So what can they do? And to have this entrepreneurial training, why is that not in the schools? Why is that not part of a curriculum like skills training right now? Um, there we can't get bridges built and we can't get roads done and we can't get cyber equipment put in, not cyber, Wi-Fi equipment put in and different things like that because we don't have enough skilled labor. And it's like, yeah, there's information everywhere, but no one is like you going in and honing it in, focusing it in, and saying, we need to have a training. We need to have classes. We need to educate even the young children. I think about what you just said, teaching them about entrepreneurship when they're young, exposing them, because as we both know, networking is really critical in business. So you develop relationships as a child that goes on into adulthood that makes and helps with the success of entrepreneurship because they're going to be, yeah, we've been together forever. We've been ride or die. We're going to keep on going, and that's what you want to have. And so that's really truly important to do that. What are some of the better skills that business owners can learn through your organization that will help separate them from the pack and help them pull ahead and become number one?
So that's a great question. Many of the participants that have gone through any program that we have done will tell you Darlisa does not play when it comes to building businesses. Um, I firmly believe that if you're not willing to put in the hard work, don't waste anybody's time. Like
Mhm.
that's just the nature of it. If you are willing to put in the work, success is at the forefront, and that's prime. I think one of the main takeaways that anyone who participates in any of our programs will and can appreciate the work that they put into it. We don't give them handouts, we actually get behind them and we push them to the extent of where they're trying to go. So we help them to establish their goals out of the gate. If you don't have a goal for where you're trying to go, no one else can help you achieve a goal, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that is one of the things that differentiates us from any competition. When we are building these programs, money is not the carrot. We're not putting you in a program to say at the end of it, you're going to get funded because If that's the only reason you're in the program, then you're not trying to build a business. All you want to
Mhm.
do is just have somebody write you a check. And if that's the case, then you just need to go back to work, right? Because that's what happens when you go to work. You perform and you get the check. So our value proposition is one, the individuals. We make sure that we learn, understand, and value what they want. And then we put programming around that to help them sustain from that standpoint.
Mm. Well, I'll tell you, it takes a lot to try to train someone to actually want to be successful. That's why I think starting them early, starting them young, giving them drive, giving them that understanding of what it is. A lot of people don't even know. I mean, they use that word a lot, but they have no idea what it really, really, truly means. That the dedication, the work, and then if they would do the work up front, they could decide and figure out whether or not they're built to even do this. Maybe, they got kind of like a whim because they saw something on television, but they don't realize all of the work, all of the budgets you got to prepare, all the comparable statements you got to prepare, all of the work you have to do when you do open, finding, multiple companies that can, provide your products if you're selling, something in retail, or even if you're providing a service itself, where you're going to get the customers. I mean, there's a lot of work involved. They're not just going to walk in the door because you hung a sign up there. It's like, oh gosh, people are going to be, skeptical. And so, understanding, yeah, you may have a great idea, but what are you going to do to convince people that you have a great idea? And those things are really important.
And this is very true, very, very true. One of the core classes or workshops that we teach is building the business GPS. So nowadays, GPS is used for almost everything, right?
Mhm.
And there are a couple of key components that you need when utilizing a GPS. You need a starting point and you need a destination. And if you put the wrong starting point in, you're going to get at results based on what you put into your GPS. And I think it's very, very challenging, especially nowadays, to be that objective voice to say, no, you don't need money to start a business. So when people hear that, sometimes they're a little offended, right? It's like, well, we do need money to start a business. No, you don't need money to start a business. You need money to grow your business. And when they're putting together this business GPS, the reality of where they are is super important. So if they're coming into this process with the assumption that things are going to happen fast, and they are seeing the success of someone else and they're using that as their starting point, well,
Mhm.
their journey is already thrown off, right? So we help them to understand where they are and where they're trying to go, and putting the pieces together based on their own journey. Because the education side of it, and I have seen so much more. So the pandemic was a game changer when the world shut down, and the reality of side hustles, mattress money, people getting it how they live, whatever the case was. When that hit the fan, and this large just conversation of there's money for you to start your business. There's money, money, money. And they just kept throwing money through the pandemic. So many people took that as their opportunity to follow their passion or start their business, which nothing against that, right? But what they failed to realize is even though you're following that passion, you still have to earn a living. You still have to live. There's somebody has to work. So everyone can't just jump off the bridge into following their passion, because
Mhm.
what happens to everything else? And that sink or swim is real. So once all that money started to dry up, it's like, oh, well, there's I thought they were going to help us with having a business. And it's like, if that was the case, it would have been done a long time ago. right? What were
Mhm.
people doing in business prior to the pandemic where they were cash, shelling out all of this money, right?
Mhm.
They had to
Right.
actually work for it. They had to build it. They had to struggle. They had to, go through the process of maintaining. And it's an up and down battle. Like it's literally a roller coaster, like every single day. And that's
Right.
what people don't like. They don't
Mhm.
like the negative side of it. They like the fun, they like the pretty, they like the feel good. But when it gets tough, the question becomes, are you even built to handle that type of pressure?
Right, right. And that's kind of like something they need to include in their inventory. What happens when the challenges come? What happens when, the customers aren't coming? What happens when, you can't find someone to supply, the products you have and you might have to go switch something else, What happens when, you know, life happens? And what are they going to do? So how do we learn to recognize that we've got signs that we are not focused on course and moving forward in the business development? I mean,
So that's a great question. So I'm a strong proponent of if at first it doesn't succeed, try and try again, right? So
mhm,
you have to give it a couple of different tries, but ultimately, if what you are trying to build is not sustaining, then you have to be willing to shift or pivot, call in partners, look for additional resources, and we can't be fixated on just one thing that is not sustainable. So that brings us to this conversation of serial entrepreneurship, right? And oftentimes I hear that people are serial entrepreneurs, but they really don't understand what that means, right?
mhm,
So it's one day they are really good at marketing. And so they put all of this material together, flyers, websites, social media pages, and they are a marketing guru. They're not getting any hits, they're not getting any bites. So then in the next couple weeks, now they are a strategic planner, right? They're
mhm.
a strategic consultant. They're going to help you with strategizing and making things work and getting it all right. So they're not getting any bites on that. So the next thing you know, they can cook a mean casserole, right? They've just like totally shifted because it becomes more about the hustle. They're just trying to find their way instead of taking that marketing concept and following the steps, determining their market, understanding who their customer is, trial and error, doing some things for free so that they can test their market, the research. They're not putting as much into that one concept to yield results because they're looking for instantaneous
Mhm.
results. So it goes back to the strategic side of things. What is it that you have that can make it work for you right now? Where is it that you're trying to go? And who can help you get there? And let's be real, having a job is very, very sexy. Okay. Like residual income, continuous income is very, very good. So the
Mhm.
misconception that you have to be full time into your entrepreneurial venture
Right.
is a misconception. Until your business is able to produce financially to the degree that you are able to sustain, keep a job, whether
Yes.
it's a part time job, a full time job. You have to earn a living at the end of the day. And I think that message is the message that needs to resonate with people. There's
Mhm.
no one out here looking, well, and maybe there are. I shouldn't say there's no one, but the thought that people are just going to write you a check to follow your passion,
Mhm.
that's kind of far few and in between.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have to change our own mindset as we enter into entrepreneurship, and we just have to accept the realities of what it is.
Yeah, that's true. As I listen to you, I'm just thinking the serial entrepreneurs, they just keep jumping from one thing to the other. So they didn't do any of the initial steps, or they would have had that one entrepreneurial venture in mind that they would be committed, do or die. They were going to be committed, but just jumping around, they're just looking for a gig to get, make some money. They are not true entrepreneurs. Hello, let me tell you, you're not a true entrepreneur just hopping from here to here to here like a rabbit. You are an entrepreneur is dedicated, they're committed, and they actually have a product or a plan or a program or a service that you want to exist for generations to come. That's a committed entrepreneur. Okay? Don't be looking at all the social media crap and everybody telling you what to do. You need to study, you need to prepare, you need to do your homework, you need to do all of your writing and research and all that other stuff, and then you can be a real entrepreneur. Okay.
And I want to say one additional thing to add to what you just said, like plan for the downtimes, right? Mm-hmm. Because entrepreneurship is not all roses. Entrepreneurship is not all warm and fuzzy. Like there are so many nights that I have cried. There are so many nights that I think I throw my towel in, if I'm being honest, every single day, right? Like I am so over what I do every single day. But then on the flip side of it, you start to see the impact of your work, right? And you can't see the impact of your work if you're not doing any work. Mm-hmm. But you have to plan for the difficult times too. And one of the things that I will mention too is finding a support system, whether that is a faith-based substance, your family, a group of friends, a tribe, whatever the case may be. You have to find a support system, something that can get you out of your mental slum, because that's where it lives. It's in your own mind where it lives. And so when you are having those times, because they will happen a lot more often than anyone probably wants to admit. But when you have those moments, you have to find a place or a something that can help you to overcome that challenge, whether it's a good book, music, like I said, your faith or what have you. And I can say for me, it's my faith. If I didn't have my faith, please understand, like none of this, like it would be nothing. So I will add that to what you said. Like you have to prepare for the negative side of it as well, just like you prepare for the positives.
Yeah. And really be very selective of who you let in your circle too. You just can't have just anyone in your circle. You need to have people in your circle that understand what you're trying to do, that's going to tell you when, okay, you've been sitting too long, it's time to get up. Hey, we got you told me you had a dream. Let's go get this dream. I'm a friend. You may not like me right now, you'll love me later, but you need to get up off that couch and take care of business. Those are the kind of people you need in your circle, ones that motivate you, tell you the truth, and keep you on your path. Those ones like, man, you don't need that stuff. You need to throw them to the curb anyway. Okay. So I'm just telling you, everybody can't be in your circle. You find other successful people to be in your circle because they've been where you're going. They're going to help you get through that hump. But just out here throwing your stuff out here on social media and taking advice from people, that don't even know what they're talking about, probably can't even spell entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? That's not who you need in your circle. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm talking like a grandma. Well,
hey, we need this. We need
this. Tell you. Grandma's telling you, you need to stay focused and get committed friends, get people who really understand where you're going. And those are the ones that are going to energize you during those times where you're sad, then you're crying, and you don't want to take that next step they're going to push you over the hill. Okay. This is some of the things you need to do. Are there classes and social tools that can enhance their ability to learn how to truly make the business stable and growing when they are actually in there?
Yes, there are so many resources available to the aspiring entrepreneur, right? Like so many resources. I would say, first and foremost, LinkedIn is a great platform for aspiring or current entrepreneurs. You can utilize LinkedIn in so many different ways. Another great resource is the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready platform. So
Mhm.
the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready platform, it is an online platform of free content that talks about anything from marketing to establishing your financial presence. It talks about legal, very high level, right? So nothing granular, but it's all free content, classes, videos, and 2 or 3 times a year, they run a grant application for you to have access to. There
Mhm.
are platforms very similar to, so like when you think about like Canva, HubSpots, Zohos, these are like CRM, like the customer relationship management systems. They have
Mhm.
done a really good job of putting together content and courses that help the business owners as well. But I'm going to drill down to local, right? In
Mhm.
every, I know in the United States, there are the um, government pays for services. It's your tax dollars, but it's the small business development agencies, right? These
Mhm.
are business advisors that get paid to help you grow your business. And it's a free service to you because your tax dollars are already paying for it. So there is an assortment of free or low cost resources on our website, Foundations Entrepreneur Development Company. We do provide a list of resources that are available specific to we. So on our website, we do have some of those national ones, but our home base is in Dallas Fort Worth area. And so if you are in the Dallas Fort Worth area and you go to our website, we provide a whole list of programs, resources, classes, workshops that you can attend because there's no excuses. You don't have any excuses that there is no help out there. If you
Mhm.
were to Google, and then, so I also will mention SCORE.
Yeah.
SCORE is a great resource as well. They will help you with building out that business plan with your financial statements. Their website alone provides so many great resources that you can use on your journey. And it's plug and play, right? You don't have to think a whole lot about it because it's right there for you. So again, I'll just kind of go high level. You have the Verizon Small or LinkedIn, that's the first one, the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready platform. You have the small business development agencies, you have SCORE, and I'm pretty sure within your local communities, a lot of your lending institutions now have also created platforms of education as well. So it really starts with you doing the education or the research to educate yourself.
Right. And that's the prep work before you go and invest in that building and all these other things. Find out what your journey's gonna actually be like, before you go out there and start doing something that's could end up harming you. You could end up financially being devastated. And that, I'm not saying that to turn you off. I'm saying that that isn't could happen. But see, all you listeners out there, you're going to stay focused and committed, aren't you? Aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I know you can do it. You're going to stay focused and committed. Nah, I'm going to get off that soapbox. The companies that embrace this type of training programs that is offered by your organization, what are some of the changes that are happening and successes that they are witnessing? Tell us about that.
That's a really great question. So for us, our customers are the local municipalities or the government offices, nonprofit organizations, and a few of the value propositions that they have is they actually get participants to finish their programs. So as the participant, so we help them to build out their entrepreneur infrastructure, right? So if
Mhm.
they want a program or if they want to be connected to the entrepreneur platform or whatever, we help them do that based on their own internal goals. And so what they have seen is again success in entrepreneur sustainability. So the people that are coming through their programs, they're staying the full length of time in the programs. It's not a heavy drop off. Most of our average rate of retention for the programs is 93%. So
Mhm.
that's an amazing amount of people that are staying in these programs. Another factor is they keep coming back to the organization, right? So
Mhm.
they're not just like one and done type scenarios. So when we're helping to build out these programs or whatever it is, we build in the models that help to continue the conversation. Anyone can have a one and done, right? But who wants that? So it is helping them to build a holistic portfolio of clients, especially when we're working with our lending institutions, right? So whenever, most of the time, whenever they create a program, it is tied to an incentive is like they get to open up a free business checking account or something, right? But for a lending institution or a bank, if people are not putting money or deposits into the bank, it's really no point in opening that bank account. So what they are seeing is that people are utilizing effectively their business bank accounts. They're using them how they're supposed to use them. And so that's helping them to um, keep their portfolio, their commercial portfolios good, and the education from the business side of things, like they're growing their revenues and they're able to establish that partnership. Another thing I would say is collaboration and relationship building. So we always encourage the relational side of life because we know social media is there. You need it. It's a part of everything that we do, that we touch, but it doesn't take away that relationship. Relationships get you so much further than just a social interaction. And so many of our customers value the relationships that they are then able to take in from the small business owners. So it's like a prime example, one of the bank presidents, they have a mixed race child, and they were wanting to find some type of a product for their daughter's hair, right? And they could not, they didn't know what to do. Well, guess what? They had a business that came through their program and they were able to find that product. So that's just one small example.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Tell us more about your services and, and how can the listeners get in touch with you to get more information?
Yes, great question. So, Darlisa is all things everywhere, right? So you can absolutely, like, you can probably Google my name and a whole list of things will come up. I'll speak specific to the organizations that I own and am a part of. So Foundations Entrepreneur Development Company, that is my primary organization. We are a team of four and we do work around the youth or around the globe, helping to build and develop programs. So that's one organization. My other company is the South Dallas Fair Park Innovation Center. We are housed in the community of South Dallas, which is directly across the street from where the big state fair happens, all the action. It is a flexible workspace where we provide low cost options for business services. So people can come utilize the space for their mail service. So they're not using their home address and they're not getting
Mhm.
things sent on the commercial side to their personal side. We are a certified registered agent facility. So as they are building out their or filling out their documentation for doing their business or loans or what have you, we are a registered agent for them. So that's the South Dallas Fair Park Innovation Center. The other large component of my life is Global Entrepreneurship Week. So we are a part of a larger consortium that hosts a week of events that is focused on celebrating the works of entrepreneurship. It happens every week right before Thanksgiving. And I represent the North Texas community. So I lead the efforts for all of North Texas. So again, I wear many hats, but entrepreneur education is at the forefront of all of that and sustainability. So for a website standpoint, foundationsedc.com is where you can find that information. You can Google South Dallas Fair Park Innovation Center, or you can look up Global Entrepreneurship Week North Texas, or you can just type in a Google search, and I'm pretty sure I'll pop up.
Well, we're glad to have that information so that they can get in touch with you, at least get the steps to how to get started. One of the things I do want to mention, because I know I've worked with foundations, I've worked with a lot of large corporations, and I've talked with a lot of entrepreneurs. One of the things I want uh, you that are thinking about starting a business, you have to understand the tax system also. You have to understand that every dollar that comes in, there's a piece of it that's going to belong to the federal government or the state government or the city government. And you need to look at that part when you're preparing your budget so that you set aside that money. Don't put it in the same bank account. I always used to tell people, put it in a separate bank account that says do not touch because that's those funds belong to the government. You don't want to get into trouble after you've been successful and then end up getting into trouble with huge taxes and penalties because you didn't file in time, you didn't file the right amount in time, you didn't prepare your documents, correctly. You have to give your piece of income revenue to the government. I would recommend having, and you kind of read my mind. I was talking about SCORE. SCORE doesn't cost anything, and they are senior people who've been in business a really long time, and they've got experience, and they can help you do the right thing from the start. Yes, their hair might be gray, but you know what? Gray hair has a benefit. You know what it is? It's called wisdom.
Right.
And old people have wisdom, experienced people have wisdom, and they can tell you how to miss the big pothole that's going to swallow you up. Now, I know you're smart enough not to say, "Oh, I want to walk in the pothole anyway." Uh, aren't you? Okay, really? Get someone in there. It's a free service. They can come in and give you so much advice, so much assistance. Doesn't cost you anything. And we're talking about expert level, experience. We're talking about CEOs. We're talking about, CFOs. We're talking about people who have achieved a lot in their careers. They can help you use the tools that are out there that don't cost anything, and so you can be successful in your plan and successful in your goals and what it is that you want to do in life.
This is very
Because,
true. I want to mention
yeah.
too,
Mhm.
mention the taxation and IRS. The IRS has even done a better job at providing educational type literature. They've created an online platform, a portal that you can subscribe to and be a part of, and they do educational sessions as well. We have partnered with a couple, like the field operations, and we've done some webinars and workshops on IRS and taxation and how to access the portal. So, to your point, it is very important that that is a large portion of your understanding. So, I just wanted to echo what you said, because you can't be in business owing people money and or asking for money, and you owe the big man himself money. So it's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is important. And I have seen businesses that have had to go out of business, or small businesses that had they've gone through the minority business services and they got their certification. You can't owe money to the IRS and think you're going to get money for small business administration, or you're going to be eligible for one of those awards or grants or something like that. They do background checks to see, do you owe the IRS before they send out funds. So you want to really make sure, and I promise you, if you put it in two separate accounts, you can't say, oh man, I forgot, I overspent, or this money is yours for business and growth and your own compensation. This money here does not belong to you. So don't get crazy.
I say don't get it twisted.
And then make it up later, because they don't let you do makeups.
Right.
They just shut you off. And then they put you on one of these lists where you can't ever, get any more awards. I mean, you don't want to go down that path. Make sure you separate and pay those taxes and things like that, and put your plans together. Budgets are, every business that's out there, they do budgets. And so you just need to know that you need to do that prep. Well, this has just been fun, Darlisa. I know I got a little carried away. That's because
I love it. It was great.
I have that grandma in me, and I can't do anything about it.
It was great. I enjoy it.
Yeah, we just gotta help this next generation be successful, so that they can do some of the things, or clean up some of the things that we messed up, and start economies of small businesses, because really small businesses makes the economy work. So we want you to be successful in what you're doing, and going forward in how you're doing your business, because I like going to those little small shops or new businesses and trying out new products. So hey, go ahead and start something new. I want to buy something new. I've been around a while. Some of that stuff I've been buying, it's gotten a little old now. I want something new. So bring something new on, man. Let's do this thing, okay? Hey, let's go for it. Rah, rah. Okay, there's my cheerleading. I should have brought my pom-poms out.
Look, normally I have some. Look, I have.
Yeah. We're here to motivate you. Contact us. We'll give you a good talk.
Yes, indeed.
Definitely. Well, I just want to thank you, Darlisa, for being here to discuss this just very important topic. And I thank all of you who joined us this morning. Be sure to share this when it's available, and let others know, and share it with your children and your grandchildren and the younger generation. This is for them, that they can be successful. It's their time now. That's a whole nother topic I want to talk about.
Whole nother topic.
Know when your time is up. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. There's a time to know when your time is up, and pass the baton. And it's now time for the younger generation to take the baton, run with it, and shine. It's their time, and I want to see them. I love seeing young people achieve. And so this is really good. So again, thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And whatever you do, stay informed. I want to thank you for joining us on A Sharp Outlook. We have been informed and energized to take the next steps. We have posted links to websites and videos to learn more on today's topic. Please join us again next week for another thought-provoking conversation right here on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. Listen to the podcast on all the podcast apps. And until next week, stay informed.